Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we would be discussing about the retail inflation in India, which is a 7-month high in the month of May 2019. So we will be analyzing this current affair in detail along with the industrial growth projected by IIP, that is Index of Industrial Production, and we will see why this is very crucial for India. We will also see what is retail inflation and what are the factors that influence retail inflation, especially the retail inflation levels of May 2019. We will also discuss about monetary policy and how does monetary policy impact the inflation levels and what is expected out of monetary policy in the upcoming days. We will also discuss about industrial growth in India indicated by IIP or the Index of Industrial Production. So this is a very important topic for your preliminary as well as your mains examination from your UPSC perspective. Now IIP, retail inflation, CPI, etc. are very important for your preliminary examination. Monetary policy, the relevance of monetary policy, etc. are very important for your mains perspective. So this is also an important topic for your RBI grade B preparations and also other competitive examinations. So let us start. But before that, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including UPSC Civil Services Examination. So if you are preparing for your Civil Service Examination 2020, you can avail our pen drive courses which will cover 100% of your vast UPSC syllabus, plus we provide daily current affairs updates. You can find more details on the link that is pasted on the description of this video, or you can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details. So let us start with analyzing the current affairs. So the retail inflation, that is the CPI, Consumer Price Index inflation, is at a 7-month high in the month of May 2019. And also the industrial growth is at 3.4% in April 2019. So retail inflation, this is for the 4th consecutive month rise in the month of May. And industrial growth, if compared to the previous month, that is the month of March, it has taken a good step ahead in order to grow at 3.4%. So this is a good news, and retail inflation levels we will analyze later in this lecture. So this is the current affair. So we will be discussing all the topics that we mentioned in the beginning of this lecture in this lecture. So let us start with why this is crucial for India or Indian economy. The first reason is that the budget, the union budget of the new government, is scheduled to be presented on the day of July 5th of 2019. So the inflation levels and the industrial growth levels will reflect in the budget. So the budget will propose schemes and will come up with policies based on the retail inflation levels and the industrial growth levels. So the government will try to compensate for any shortcoming in the inflation levels or the industrial growth levels in the upcoming budget. So for this reason, this is very crucial. Now, second reason is that the industrial growth, we have seen that it is 3.4%, much higher than the previous month of March 2019. But even if the industrial growth is satisfactory, the overall industrial scenario is not satisfactory. So the overall industrial picture gives us a idea that various sectors are still in trouble, especially the automobile industry and also the FMCG, that is fast moving consumable goods industry. So they are facing a slowdown in the sales. So we cannot say that the overall industrial scenario is satisfactory, even though there is a growth in the industrial sector as a whole. So this is the second cause of concern. Now, the third one, the retail inflation. The retail inflation, we have seen it has gone up, and this is the 4th consecutive month that the retail inflation has risen, and this is a 7-month high. But even though the retail inflation has gone up, it is within the inflation targeting of the government. It is below 4%. So inflation targeting of the government was 2 plus or minus 4%. So the median value or the median rate is 4%. So the retail inflation is well within the inflation targeting. Therefore, there is no reason for much worry in the increase in the retail inflation rates. Now, the fourth reason why this is very crucial is because there is a possibility of another rate cut. We have seen that in the recent monetary policy statement, the RBI, the Monetary Policy Committee, had adopted a rate cut. So this is the third successive policy rate cut. And the MPC, the Monetary Policy Committee, also changed its stance to accommodative from neutral. So there is a possibility of yet another rate cut. Now, what is the rate cut based on? How does Monetary Policy Committee decide on its rate cut? So, generally, when there is a reduction in interest rates or a rate cut, it essentially means that it creates more credit in the economy, or it increases the credit supply in the economy. So, by reducing the interest rates, RBI and the Monetary Policy Committee is trying to adopt an expansionary measure, that is to increase the money supply in the economy. So, why there is a possibility of another rate cut? This is because the rate cut of RBI and the Monetary Policy Committee is based on the inflation rates in the economy. Now, the inflation rates we have seen, even though it has gone up, it is well within the inflation targeting. So, this gives a signal to the Monetary Policy Committee that the inflation rate in the economy is within the targeted range. So, this will provide a possibility for another rate cut by the Monetary Policy Committee. So, this is why it is crucial, why this inflation rates are very much crucial. Now, let us understand what is retail inflation. So, as I said in the beginning, the retail inflation is indicated by CPI. CPI is Consumer Price Index. So, it measures inflation at the consumer level or at the retail level. So, this essentially measures the increase in the cost of living. So, by CPI, what we mean is that any increase in the cost of living of households is measured, and this at the retail level. So, CPI is retail level inflation, and this is indicated by CPI, retail inflation indicated by CPI. Now, in the month of May, we have seen that the retail inflation was 7-month high. So, the percentage of inflation was 3.05% in the month of May. And in the month of April, that is the previous month, it was 2.99%. So, this is highest after October 2018. And one major factor which contributed towards this increase in the retail inflation was food inflation. Now, what is meant by food inflation? Food inflation means that there is an increase in the prices of food commodities. So, food inflation in the month of May was 1.83%, but in the month of April, the previous month, was 1.10%. So, from this, it is clear that food inflation is a major driver. And within the food inflation, there are two major drivers. The first one is vegetable, second one is pulses. So, increase in the prices of both these commodities have largely contributed towards a increase in the retail inflation rate. Now, in case of vegetables, the inflation rate was 5.5%, and this is a 11-month high. Now, in case of pulses, the inflation has happened after a gap of 29 months. So, these two, vegetables and pulses, they are the major drivers within the food inflation. Now, if we consider the vegetable prices, there are two factors that have contributed towards this. The first one is seasonal factors. That is the season of summer, and therefore the produce is less. Therefore, demand is more than the supply, and thereby the price has increased. Now, the second factor is that this is cyclical in nature. So, cyclical factors and seasonal factors are the two contributing factors for food inflation, especially the rise in the price of vegetables. Now, let us come to monetary policy. Let us see how is the monetary policy working and what is expected in the future from the monetary policy. So, if we look at the latest monetary policy statement, we have seen that there was a rate cut, and this was for the third consecutive time. And also the Monetary Policy Committee has adopted a stance of accommodative monetary policy from neutral monetary policy stance. So, we can say that this is in the right direction. So, when there is a rate cut, it essentially means that money supply in the economy is going to increase. Now, this is at the right direction. So, the Monetary Policy Committee has adopted a supportive monetary policy. This is supportive of growth, because for economic growth, credit is a very much essential factor. So, by reducing the rates or by introducing a rate cut, there will be more growth in the form of increased credit supply. So, increased credit supply leads to more economic growth. So, we can sum up that the monetary policy is in the right direction, which is supportive of growth, and the impact of the monetary policy is felt in the economy with a lag. It means that the impact is not immediate, it is followed by a time lag. And now, considering the present inflation rates, the retail inflation, it is expected that the Monetary Policy Committee will undertake a further cut in the rates, and which we have already explained. Now, let us come to industrial growth. Now, industrial growth in India is indicated by IIP. IIP is Index of Industrial Production. So, IIP is a composite indicator. It measures changes in the volume of production, and thereby it is a composite indicator, and this considers a basket of commodities. This is very important. It does not consider all the commodities, but instead it takes a basket of commodities, or rather we can say sample of commodities. So it considers a basket of industrial products, and based on a base period it calculates the growth rate of industrial production. So this is released monthly, and this is compiled by CSO or Central Statistical Office. So this is about Index of Industrial Production, and in the month of April the Index of Industrial Production has recorded a growth rate of 3.4%. Now, in the month of March it was merely 0.35%. So compared to March, it is considered as a very good growth rate in the month of April, because in March it was only 0.35%. Now, coming to the factors that have contributed towards this. The factors are mainly the electricity sector and the mining sector. So, electricity and mining sector has given a major thrust for this growth, but still it is well below 3%. So, electricity and mining sector, even though they have contributed towards this increase in industrial production, they are not still satisfactory in performing with regard to growth. So they are still under 3% growth rates, and the mining and the electricity sector has a impact on other sectors as well. So the growth rate of the mining and electricity sector affects the overall industrial growth and employment scenario. So even though IIP has registered a growth rate, we cannot say that the performance of the industrial sector as a whole is satisfactory, and we also discussed some points in the beginning of this lecture. Now you can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. You can follow my Facebook page for more video updates. You can also write to me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries and clarifications. Thank you.